Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's
Surprise!
go.
Welcome back, traders. We're going to be getting into
I'll wake up
stock
to it.
ticker IWM, AMC, GameStop, and one more, stock ticker Wing for some ever-loving attendees. But before we do so, traders, I want to give a little shout out to this hilarious comment section, whether you call it banter or whatever. I love both of these guys, so respect to them. But he said, Melee, kindly ask you to minimize burping during the video. Your content is important, so we shouldn't lose interest due to the sparkling water impact. No disrespect here, just a suggestion. And then NZ Sailor comes in, another bottle of San Pellegrino for your good work. Oh, man, it's beautiful. So let's get into IWM first, because IWM has a impact on the broader market. And you're seeing some reactions here from the President Trump speech last night, right? You saw an initial dump during pre-market and overnight trading, but now you're seeing a rally to go fill that gap. So I do expect you to fill the gap, currently sitting at 249.11. So you might see some short-term bullish upside, even though you see a lot of the blue chips down. I do anticipate, right, you might, as the day goes on and persists, slowly grind up here to fill that gap. You're currently just now passing the 9-day EMA, which is a bullish sign and gives us confirmation that you may do so. And then on the weekly, you have a bullish spinning top at the moment, right? On IWM, you're kind of pincered between these two moving averages. The 9-day EMA on the weekly, you're hitting your head against, and then the 50-day is acting as that cushion support to find a nice launch off of, just like you did here, right? And ideally, we don't see one of these, because if you see the 9 cross to the 50, that's where you get these volatile flushes, right? We don't want that. We want to see IWM respect this line, right? Just like you did so many times before it, right? Here you bounced, right? Here you bounced, right? Here you bounced. And IWM has a history with the 50-day EMA and the weekly of respecting this level. So you need to see this hold. Otherwise, you may see a more extended move down to the 200-day EMA. And I know no one wants to see that, right? On the daily time frame, just for an FYI, you do have a little gappy wappy, a little gap fill down here at 224.53. So if that does come to fruition, right, and you see that turn around here, then I would anticipate that level to be hit. Now, that's all we have for IWM. Let's jump into GameStop first, and then AMC, and then we'll give our Wingstop analysis as well. Make sure to slap the subscribe button if you guys are getting value out of this so far. I love what I do, and I want to keep doing it for y'all. So, GME, you're seeing a nice little bounce here on the daily, and you're seeing the daily MACD about to curl up. This is nice because you're looking at where you're on the chart, and you are pushing $23, as well as this death cross that happened recently. Now, the death cross is probably the worst thing on this chart right now, although you were so close to a golden cross, which is the 50-day EMA, crossing through the 200. Now, if you're able to get back above this, which currently lays at 23.43, not far at all and not hard to do, in my opinion, especially if you see this bullish momentum continue, then I do anticipate, right, now that the 50-day EMA is flat and your 200 is pretty much flat, if you're able to make that bullish move now, you can actually see this thing fake out to the downside again and go back up. And I say that because your 200 right here was sloping sideways, and you've seen a lot of the negative price action, right? What the 200-day EMA is it's the last 200 trading days factored in to a line. And what that line is doing or telling you is, over the last 200 trading days, this is the average price, right? And you take into account where we were 200 days ago, right? So this is a 203 days ago. That means 3 days ago, you lost this ginormous move down, right? This absolute reverse MOAS, which is pretty significant when you talk about the average of this indicator. So you should start to see this thing, if you can get back above it, right, curl back up with some significant momentum that then this stock can use to kind of caterpillar its way out of these levels, right? Because right now you're trying to get back above this downsloping resistance and back above the most important trend line, that I know I deleted. But the most important trend line on the stock, that is, bam, this one, right? Ooh, that's actually not the one I was talking about, but that is also an important trend line. Come on, lines. Work. There we go. This one. Right, you can see how you respect this trend line, and maybe it's not drawn perfectly right now. I've just got to sandwich it up a little bit. But you see once you dropped it, you rejected it, drop it, get back above it, retest it, reject it, right? So that trend line is so, so important. I just have so many dang trend lines on this chart that I got to start deleting a little bit just to focus on the interim picture. And the interim picture, you saw a bounce in this channel, whatever this is, wedge or triangle formation. So if you hold here and you see the MACD cross green, that would be, in my opinion, a signal that you're about to cross to the upside and hopefully get back above this 200-day EMA. And once that happens, guys, the story flips, right? You get a lot more bullish on GME. So that's the short-term talk. Your weekly chart, you are currently testing the 50-day EMA, which is significant. You're back above the 200, and more importantly, you stopped the weekly cross down, which is important, right? When you look at where we want this thing to go, if you see this thing cross down, it is, in my opinion, that you would fill those daily gaps sitting right around 2170 and 2125, and then go all the way back down to make this 3 rising valleys, which is higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Eventually, you would make this higher low right around 2050, and then go for your swing high to test wherever this lands on this kind of megaphone pattern, right? With the higher lows and higher highs. I would anticipate you to fill this gap and make that higher high right around $28 to $29. On the weekly, you still look nice. You just have a little bit of pressure to push through, right? Monthly time frame, kind of a nothing burger. You saw 2 months in a row of red, but decreasing volume. Now, this is bullish because you look at stocks like NEO, right, and how they're set up. You saw a pretty dramatic sell-off, but you also saw lowering volume. You're seeing the same thing on AMC, and I do expect you could see a swing higher, just like you saw on NEO, right? As once IWM begins to turn around, the fact that you're holding strength here on GME is the most important thing, because when you see stocks like IWM, the broader market selling off the way it has, you are seeing pretty insane strength from the small cap stocks. So that's a good sign, right? Let's get into our girl AMC, baby. Amy, looking to see a little bit of a breakout here off of this falling wedge formation. Very tightly coiled and very anticipated. We thought once you got around the $1 territory, you would find a bottom. And it looks like you have a couple different signs showing that you will. The first sign, right, you're seeing an inverted hammer candlestick candle on the weekly time frame, and you're literally trading at 0.999999999. I do anticipate you to close above the week at $1. That is the most bullish scenario for AMC, is that you have a successfully, right, broken this range of 93 cents back to 107 and then trading above $1. And you can see here almost a little bit of a bull flag forming on the 4 hour. It's a little barcodey, so stay with me here, but a little bit of a bull flag here. So if you wanted to hold this price action, right, you need to continue to trade within this formation. And then a break of that formation takes you right around $1.20. Now, if you saw that, right, a break of the $1.20 line, I anticipate you could go up even higher, right? We drew up the multiple shelves sitting at $1.24, $1.70, and then the $2 retest of your previous all-time high. Those are all going to be important levels on this stock. So wherever you top out here, I expect some consolidation and then either rejection or push higher. So that's what we're watching the daily time frame for AMC. On the weekly, though, the story that is not being told by many is you're about to get your weekly MACD cross up. That is the most bullish thing about this chart besides for the RSI. you see this weekly MACD so ready, so primed, and I anticipate this downsloping volume, right, to find a little bit of a break. And you're starting to see it on the weekly, and you could see it happen today, or you could see it happen next week. But what we do know, traders, is this is 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row of consolidated lower volume, all of which coming right around the $1 territory. I expect this to break and break hard. We're just kind of waiting, sitting on our hands for something to happen, right? Let's look at AMC on the trading view. The trading view. I guess I'm 70 now. Let's look at AMC on the trading view. I said it again. And you're starting to continue to see, traders, that gets me excited and gets me jacked. The weekly RSI band continue to curl up for the first time in a long time. This is prevalent and important because once you see this cross, guys, I expect a nice size launch off of AMC. As the last time you broke it and then retested it, you saw around a 70% move. And then all the times prior, right, this one you also broke back above from oversold, retested it, and then shot 300%. Those are just the last two examples in what has been a very, very depressing couple of years for AMC's chart. But what could be exciting is you might break out of this range sooner than people expect. And I say that because when everyone is down on the stock, it is often that time where the stock makes some of the biggest rallies. And you can see the overall trajectory of the RSI. It's bearish, right? But you're starting to see that story turn around. And if you see a strong push through, right, one of these 11% candles in the weekly, then I expect it to break. And then what happens after is going to be history, right? But what you don't want to see is you don't want to see one of these same old fake out rejections off of this RSI band, because that would take you inevitably lower and below this weekly falling wedge trend line, right? This is the trend line that we were banking on for a macro falling wedge. If that is going to be the case, this is going to hold. You have 1, 2 during your COVID bottom. 3, and then now your fourth tap of this. And every single time you've tapped it, you've seen nice size launches. 151%, 1,000%, 400%, and then around what could be 400%, right? You're talking about a potential break of this macro trend line that has held you down ever since June of 2021. That's going to be big once you break it, and I expect some kind of fundamental news to come out if that is the case. If not, right, there's very, very potential. There's a big potential, right, that you reject here and continue to consolidate into 2027 as you coil some kind of fundamental news. So a move isn't given, but it is ripe, right? There is opportunity here. So that's what I got for AMC. I want to get into Wingstop, because Wingstop is coming to a freaking beautiful, 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 beautiful piece of technical analysis, right? I just drew this golden uptrend. This is your all-time uptrend on Wingstop. And you can see what happens here once you tap that, right? 314%, 279%, 237%. What is the story going to tell today? Well, what you have here is a pretty beautiful technical analysis. What do you call that? It is like a symphony, right? I mean, you're hitting on all marks for this chart because you have not only the weekly RSI oversold for the first time since back in February when you saw this rally, right? But you also have a touch of hidden bullish divergence, right? The RSI equal stock down, right? We're playing a little Crayola crayon TA here, and then you see oversold as you come to this very, very important trend line. I expect a hard bounce off of here. I expect Wingstop to see a little bit of a relief rally. Whether or not that holds, we will find out. But today you're already printing a bullish hammer candle. You have multiple gap fills to the upside. There, you have one here, and I'm sure there's some around here, right? But what's more important is the overall trajectory. I think Wingstop is due for a little bit of a launch. All right, that's Wingstop. Let's get into the GME warrants, and then we will wish our sayonaras, right? Wingstop, you have a little bit of a rejection here on the 9-day weekly EMA. However, you have a bullish inverted hammer candle. That is bullish, traders. And when you see this nice support trend here that you're holding, I am in the belief, as long as you don't break down here from the 50-day EMA, that if you could break back above this trend line, you're a little sandwiched here right now on trading between the 50 and the 200. If you could break back above, you're going back up, right? You're probably going up to $5. If you break down here, it is likely that you reject the 200 and you gap fill at this 329 level. But currently all eyes on this uptrend, right? That's the story, and it has been for the GME warrants for quite some time. But that's all I got for today, traders. God bless each and every single one of your families. I appreciate everyone who's donated, became members, and stuck along for the ride, because we've been on a bumpy road, right? Stock market's not perfect. But what I want you guys to take with you is, remember, the best is yet to come. Peace.